Welcome to Whistleblowers in partnership with Wix Trade Pro. Coming up.
My problem with all this, like a lot of the IFAB tinkering, is, to me, it's just pissing about around the edges. And anyone who watches football regularly knows what's going on.
Pierluigi Colina asked Anthony Taylor why he'd give the corner. Anthony Taylor said, I thought it was a corner. And he went to me, why you thought it was a goal kick? And I said, because if I give the corner and the score off the corner, it's a huge
jeopardy's
decision.
Isn't it?
That Anthony Taylor went, that's why he's one of the best referees in the world.
The squad between them have fathered about 30 kids in the last few years. He said the problem is he's trying to get the players to go home. He said none of the players, the dads, want to go home.
But they must have been going home originally. They didn't have the babies.
Welcome to Whistleblowers for the first time in a long time with all the three amigos, the three musketeers. Mark Clattenburg, fresh from Spain.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, there's a time delay between.
I'm just trying to work out where I am.
And returning after a 2-week break, which isn't for any religious reason, it's Ian Ladyman.
It's actually nice to know that you vaguely noticed I wasn't here.
Missed you.
I do worry sometimes that I'll just turn up one Wednesday and be like, my pass won't work, you know. I'll just see Andy Dillon walking in ahead of me with his free pass on.
Somebody with a clipboard saying, nope, not today, Mr. Ladyman.
Well, thank you for missing me. Thank you for noticing. Yes, I had a week off half term on the Yorkshire coast, and then last week I was actually busy with some work stuff. I did last Wednesday I was at Everton doing a Keane and Dewsbury Hall interview.
Yes.
Day before I was with Nigel Clough. Day before that I was with the new manager of Middlesbrough, Kim Hellberg, who told me, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Gordon, you know, when you go to interview someone, you usually have a quite good idea about what you're going to get or what you might not going to get, especially if you've done your research properly. Yeah. Must admit, I was asked to go and interview Kim Hellberg because Middlesbrough are doing so well at the top of the Championship. I didn't know a thing about him at all. I go up there, up to the Middlesbrough training ground near Darlington, done all my research, and he actually had a press conference before my interview because he had a game the next day, and I'm sitting there listening to him thinking, very classic Scandinavian football coach speak, a lot of this. There's a lot of stuff, lots of talk here about low blocks and high press and all the rest of it, which is great for the tactics guys, not so great for your kind of set-piece interview. Anyway, we get into sit down, and I had noticed one thing about him that he'd said previously, that when he was first a coach, he had a fear of public speaking. It's obviously not handy for a coach. So we talked a little bit about that and how he'd got over that and how he'd managed to coach himself out of that. And he said, and I think, it's just one of the few challenges I've had to overcome in my life. I said, well, you can't say that to a journalist without me wanting to know what those challenges are. And he said, I've not really said this before, but I've had a hair transplant.
You just shared it.
He's 38 years old. I was like, oh. He said, yeah, I had a hair transplant. He said, I had it a couple of years ago when I was coaching in coaching in Sweden. And people used to ask me about it, but I used to kind of, half lie and say it wasn't true, but it was true. That's why I used to wear a cap on the touchline. So, sometimes you get a little bit more than you expect from these things.
Those are gifts from God.
By the way, a very good hair transplant.
Is it a good one? Is it?
You're not talking.
I'd have to get his name.
You're not talking. It's not his name he wants. The name of the guy who did it. Yeah. It's certainly a step up from the Wayne Rooney and the Stephen Ireland.
Stevens wasn't a transplant, was it?
Yeah.
Stevens was a hairpiece at one point.
Oh, was it really? A toothpick?
Yeah, he had the weave.
Moved,
Stephen Ireland had the weave.
Yeah.
Stephen Ireland, what's that team they're all playing for now? Is it Wythenshawe? They're all playing for Wythenshawe Vets, aren't they? Him and is it
the Manure?
The Manure and a few others are playing. So that was interesting.
That's a great chat, though. But it's interesting, though, for me about you doing those interviews because you're desperately trying to find that little bit different. Oh, yeah. Something different.
Because you are. I mean, you always are anyway, because that's your job. Yeah. To get people to say interesting things. But even more so now because there's so much content, to use that dreaded word.
So much control.
So much control and so much content from the clubs, from the rights holders, from the TV stations, etc. And a lot of it, without being snippy about it, is quite dull.
Yeah,
a lot of it is quite dull because those 5-minute interviews, it's very difficult to get anything interesting in 5 minutes. But when we go in, we still try and get something a little bit different. Nigel Clough is obviously manager of Mansfield.
I'm fascinated by Nigel Clough.
Oh, me too. I mean,
what an incredible career, just grafting away the lower leagues. So he's been a manager for a long time now.
27 and a half years as a manager now, Nigel, which is pretty much the same as his dad.
Had a good playing career as well, didn't he?
He's done more games than his dad now.
Yeah.
He's done over 1,500 games. 2 spells at Burton, who we took into the Championship. Sheffield United, who we took to an FA Cup semi-final. Derby, and now 6 years at Mansfield, playing Arsenal at the weekend in the Cup. So he's currently the 4th longest serving manager in the 4 divisions behind Arteta, Guardiola, and a guy at Harrogate, whose name I've now forgotten. I think it's Simon Weaver, who's been there for like 10 years or something. So longevity, and I like Nigel. I know him a little bit. I've interviewed him before. We have a bit of Nottingham thing going on, and it was just an incredibly re-energising couple of hours. Go to the training ground, spend a bit of time with him and his staff. Met his dog Bobby, who goes to the training ground every day. The injured players walk the dog around the training pitch while the first team are training. Really,
that's old school, isn't it?
Yeah, really, well, and it's something his dad used to do when he was at Forest. One thing I did say to him, I said, he was talking about how players are harder than ever to manage, because you can't presume these days that players will, to quote him, run through a brick wall if you like they used to, because he said it's a generational thing. Things have changed. He said you'll probably find the same on a building site or wherever. He said it's harder to motivate young people. You can't take it for granted. Mm-hmm. And I said, what are the traps? Mansfield, a League One team. I said, what are the traps? Is it money? He said, no, it's not money. He said, because they don't earn enough at this level for money to be a particular problem. Mm-hmm. He said, the problem we've got at the training ground at the moment is babies. So what do you mean? He said, well, we reckon we've got about 30 young kids throughout the squad, right? So you've got 30 kids throughout.
Kids, you mean?
Toddlers or babies or newborn.
Like a creche.
I think they'd had one. No, sorry, not at the training ground. They're not there. He said the squad between them have fathered about 30 kids in the last few years. And he said the problem is he's trying to get the players to go home. He said none of the players, the dads, want to go home.
But they must have been going home originally. They didn't have the babies. He must have needed to train them longer.
Or maybe not.
Well, indeed. So he said, we'll train, and then you'll see them. All the young single lads will be gone. The dads hanging around. I said, are you going home? Oh, just having my lunch. I think I'm just going to go in the gym for a bit. And Nigel's like, you need to go home. Yeah, but it's really hard at home. I know it's hard at home. You need to go home. He said,
great observation, Ian. That's a great observation, isn't it?
He said, babies.
But how does that affect the team spirit? Because they are doing well, right? They've got a good cup run.
Something's not Burnley out the FA Cup. They're not Sheffield United out the FA Cup. They're hosting Arsenal at the weekend.
Yeah.
Imagine that will probably be where it ends, you would imagine.
So my question for you then with Nigel Clough is that why hasn't he managed a top flight team with 1,500 games under his belt and success and a CV like you've mentioned?
Yeah, it's a really good question. He's turned the Forest job down once in 2017, although they wouldn't have been in the top flight then. I think partly because I do think it's just a bit of a thing that for most British managers, if you're going to get into the Premier League, you've kind of got to get there yourself.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Dyche got there, took Burnley there. Rob Edwards took Luton there. Eddie Howe took Bournemouth there. Yeah. There are some examples, don't get me wrong, but it's not that common these days for British managers to be taken from the pyramid to be given jobs in the Premier League. It just doesn't happen. Now, why? I don't know. Snobbery, maybe. So right, it hasn't happened for Nigel. I know he thought he might get there himself with Sheffield United, and he thought he might get there with Derby. Didn't happen. He's not bitter about it. There are lots of things that still consume Nigel, such as, the Gaza Cup final, because he played in that. Why wasn't Gaza sent off? Denied them the chance to win the FA Cup. Gets very angry about referees, which I think is something that you mentioned to me a couple of weeks ago, Mark. You thought Nigel was a bit of a headache for referees.
I was going to ask if you must have managed them.
Yeah. I just remember, I didn't really come across him much. I remember watching him as a player.
Yeah.
And he was a fabulous player. And when he was a coach, I just knew the rumours were within our groups that he was very difficult to please. Mm-hmm. He was always complaining. And I just remember doing a game, Derby Forest, which was a really difficult match. And I knew the referee had a difficult game previously earlier in the season. I'm assigned to referee this game at Derby, and I knew the stress that I'm going into, that he's in his own environment, he's in his own stadium, he's going to be extremely difficult. And this game went really well from my side as a referee. No yellow cards, which was unique for a derby. Bear in mind there was 3 red cards or something in the previous game. And I remember coming off thinking he's going to shake my hand and say, well done. Fuck all. Fuck all. There was no kiss. And I'm thinking, I've just grafted me socks off here. nothing.
There is a bit of a pattern. And he said to me the other day, because they're struggling a little bit in League One. They're about 5 points out of the relegation zone at the moment. It should be okay, but you never know. And he said to me, he said, the referees have cost us 10 points.
Yeah, but that's
like
interesting.
It's a fact.
That must be really difficult for him, especially when he's been in the Championship. Because I've spoken to a lot of people, players, coaches, and it's even though people criticise the Premier League referees, they say when you're coming up, or you're coming down the pyramid system, it gets worse. So if you speak to anybody that's got into the Championship, they say, "Oh, it's really good in the Championship," but the League One, the referees are desperate. Because I suppose they're learning their trade as well. And I remember refereeing in the lower leagues and I was pretty shite as well, do you know what I mean? But it's interesting when coaches are at a certain level, they see things differently because they've probably been used to better referees.
Better refs, playing for better refs.
I'm just going back to that original question you asked me about why he's not managing the Premier League, Gordon. I'm just looking at the Premier League table. There's not a manager there, an English manager there who's been offered a Premier League. You know, they're all the ones who were there, like Scott Parker and others, and Moyes are ones who've come up with clubs.
I think that's a good point. That's a good point. I think that's a really good point that he's made, isn't it? That coaches, English coaches, are having to learn their trade and hope that they get that chance in the Championship to go
to take a team up
to go up. Because Coops did it, didn't he? Wait, he wasn't.
Steve Cooper,
He did.
So and Chris Wilder did it, and Rob Edwards did it, and Dyche has done it, and Eddie did it, and others do it.
Did Neil Warnock do it as well? No.
Others do it, but look at a club like Brighton, and it's worked for them. They need a manager after possibly get the Zerbi, then they need a manager after the Zerbi, and they get Fabian Hertz, so they don't think, we'll go and look in the champ and we'll get... No. And even now, like, we've just been talking about Kim Hellberg, what at Middlesbrough, what do Middlesbrough do when they lose Rob Edwards? They don't... And I'm not criticising them because the guy's done well, but it's just the way it is now. The data and everything means that the network, the tentacles of these clubs go so much further these days in terms of what they think they know. When they were 20 years ago, they think, what do we know? Well, we know our own game, so we know him in the Championship, and we know him. But now, the sophistication is such in terms of scouting and recruitment of coaches that they can look at their data and think, well, actually, we know that now. We know the Swedish league now. We know the second division in Spain, and we know the second division in Germany now. So a lot of that plays into it.
Certainly
plays into it as well.
You mentioned about a referee in there, and I did wonder if you maybe spent your weekend in Wales at the Football Lawmakers AGM, which sounds like a great venue for such an illustrious moment in the social calendar. But, this is all about VAR rule changes, Mark, and you've talked about this through the season. But I think in summary, it looks like more power going to VAR. Would that be a fair reflection of what happened in Wales?
Especially when now they're looking more at if a corner's incorrectly given or not, and also second yellow cards incorrectly given. What they haven't gone is one step further, and if a yellow card should be given, because what they're saying is VAR will not interfere if there's a clear second yellow card missed by the referee. It's only if it's
given, and it can be rescinded,
and it should be rescinded. Right, so, for example, a player simulated, and the other player was given a yellow card for a foul, that could be rescinded by the VAR. What I'm getting me whole head round after listening to the rule changes is it's going to cause more inconsistencies, more frustration, and more anger if what the Premier League has drossed up this season regarding what VAR and what refereeing's doing, because we've seen how many yellow cards. What are you saying? How many yellow cards Premier League would have rescinded during the season? I just think the whole thing, and I think that what they've been looking at recently is more time wasting. I don't see a problem, and I don't see, you watch a lot of football as well, I don't see goal kicks ever being a problem anymore, especially when they've allowed it to go short. When it used to have to go outside the penalty area, the goalkeeper used to mess about.
Yeah.
I don't see that now because normally...
It's quite quick, isn't it?
They want to pass it to and they want to they play it out the back. I've never seen that an issue. Throw-ins have certainly been an issue, especially when the full-back from one side of the pitch is going to do a long throw on the opposite side. that is an issue because that can be used as a time-wasting tactic.
Hmm.
One of the biggest areas I see in football is the corner kicks. How long players are taking to take a corner kick is a lot worse than throw-ins and goal kicks. But they haven't covered that.
The corner
They've
kicks
allowed
is
it.
a big part of it, isn't it? And that's going to come in pretty soon. So checking corners with VAR will be an option for
But not
competitions.
on the time-wasting side of the
Yeah.
corner kick.
Okay. So it's the giving or the awarding of a
And
corner
I think
kick.
that's right because we talked earlier this season. I think about a ball, one at Arsenal. I think that was given to them, and it clearly should have been a goal kick, and they scored from the corner. Might have been against Brighton, and they scored from the corner. And I said, if you can use VAR for a fundamental thing, is a ball in or out, or who kicked that ball out of play, then you should use VAR for that because that's kind of fundamental.
But will it slow the game down? Do you think it's how quickly the decision can be made, isn't it?
It's if you've got good VARs, and I've saw this. This isn't. It's interesting because I saw this 2-3 years ago, and the referee was Dutch, Danny McAlealy, one of the best referees in Europe. And I've watched him very closely, how him and his team deal with things. And what they were very clever with, say Danny McAlealy give a goal kick, that VAR, because he was a team member and they worked together all of the time, he would examine it quickly. And if he could clearly see immediately it wasn't a corner, he would inform, even though it broke the IFAB protocol, he actually informed the referee. That's
interesting. Having a proper team, having a team.
And that's the way it should be.
That's
there
good.
should be teams. It should be about trust. I had
yeah.
a team. If you think back in 2016, forget VAR, we had the 2 additionals behind the goal, which was to stop penalty area problems. Them were my team constantly during that season. Anthony Taylor and Andre Mariner were me 2 additionals. I had the same assistants every week.
So you get to understand each other.
100%.
You have a working relationship
And
clear lines of communication.
And that's what should happen in the Premier League. It should be a group of teams so you get that trust element.
That's a good idea.
Because it's
isn't it?
about getting the decision quick as possible.
Simple
idea.
What we don't want, I think, is what I wouldn't want is for VAR officials to be spending 4 minutes trying to work out who's kicked a ball out of play like they do over a penalty decision. I think it just should be used for clear mistakes. So referee Joe Bloggs gives a corner to team A, and straight away VAR think, he's made a mistake there. That was clearly a goal kick. Word in your ear before the players even got the ball down in the quadrant. You made a mistake. It's a goal kick, mate. Okay, no problem. Goal kick, made a mistake. On we go. That works brilliantly. What you don't want is 3 minutes trying to work out.
I think
the worst irony here, though, Mark, about exactly that. They're trying to improve the tempo of the game, but by introducing VAR more regularly, you're actually affecting the tempo of the game negatively.
Depending on how it's used.
It does, but it's a good point what he makes. I just find the modern day referee understands the laws, but they don't understand the game. If I look back years ago, I remember a situation. It was involving Anthony Taylor, round 16 of a Euro. Huge game, Switzerland, Poland. Anthony Taylor's right in front, no more than 1 meter away, okay? And he tells me it's a corner kick. He informed me it's a corner kick. And I was convinced the ball come off Lichtsteiner, who used to play for Arsenal. I was convinced the ball had come off him. But I wasn't sure if Lichtsteiner was off the field to play or not. I couldn't tell. Anthony Taylor was adamant it was a corner. And I went goal kick. Okay? I went goal kick. Because my safe option, as a referee who understands the game, my safe option is a goal kick. Because I know the consequence of the corner. And it was interesting when I went back the next day to our team meeting, Pierluigi Colina asked Anthony Taylor why he'd give the corner. Anthony Taylor said, I thought it was a corner. And he went to me, why you thought it was a goal kick? And I said, well, I knew the ball had come off Lichtstein. I just didn't know if he was off the field to play or not. Maybe Anthony was too close. And he went, so why did he give the goal kick? And I said, because if I give the corner and the score off the corner, it's a huge
jeopardy's
decision.
Great, isn't it?
I says, off a goal kick, it becomes neutral again. And he went to Anthony Taylor, he went, that's why he's one of the best referees in the world.
Really?
Because you're looking for the safer. If you're not 100% sure,
interesting.
The safest option is goal kick. Yeah, you might criticise and you might look at it once. Really, you'll see the replay once. But if they score off the corner, how many replays will you see?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's just story for 3 days.
Can I challenge you on one thing, though? You said that the referees don't know the game, but they know the laws. Maybe they do know the games, but they have to obey the law to have any kind of career, no?
It's about understanding the game. Like, I saw an incident at the weekend. and I still can't understand, if you understand football, how a penalty wasn't given.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Declan Rice, both arms around his opponent's neck.
Mm-hmm.
He then moves his arm clearly to the ball, which strikes from a long distance. You can avoid the contact, but he realised the ball is coming in. He makes a clear movement of his arm to the ball, which for me is a penalty kick. If you understand football,
mm-hmm.
if you sent the referee as a VAR, or the referee should have spotted it anyways, but if, say, the VAR wants to help the referee out and he understands the game, you've got two decisions that you can sell it. You're not just having a subjective handball. You've got both arms around the head.
Mm-hmm.
That's just understanding the game. If somebody like Declan Rice argues, nobody in the world would ever listen to his argument because he's gotten away two decisions, handball and a holding offence. That's what I mean. What they're trying to do is looking at the laws of the game. Is there enough contact? Is the contact enough? Is there a movement? That's what the law is.
Mm-hmm.
What the football understanding is, nobody would argue if the penalty was given.
What about the 5-second countdown then? Now, have we not been here before with goalkeepers kicking the ball from their hands?
But you see it after a period of time, and I think what you'll do is you'll say to the throw-in, guys, get it in play. If he just ignores you a bit, then you're going to go 5, 4, 3.
We're going to get gladiator-style countdowns here.
For me, I've always said this, and I've said this a long time now. If you want to quicken the game up, you say to the throw-in taker, you take it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always said what they do is they move up the field. Yet they're moving it. How many times do you see the throw-in getting taken from the right area? Very rare nowadays.
Rarely, yeah.
They walk up the line knowing that the referee's going to ask them to go back. They're laughing. You just say to the player, it's from there. You take it now, and if he ignores you, you blow your whistle and you go, get it into play. If he doesn't do it, reverse it.
My problem with all this, like a lot of the IFAB tinkering, is, to me, it's just pissing about around the edges. Pissing about around the edges of what really needs to happen. And anyone who watches football regularly knows what's got to happen. Got to sort the handball law out. They've got to sort the offside law out, and they've got to sort this business out about grappling at corners. Now, to be fair, the grappling at corners thing is quite hard for IFAB because it only happens in England. So it's for them. They may say, guys, that's up to your association and your referees to sort that out because that's what they're doing isn't in our rules. But more broadly, you saw the Ashley Barnes thing, the phantom equaliser for Burnley against Brentford at the weekend. Okay, when it's hit his arm accidentally, and he then scores, so it's ruled out. If that ball had rolled to a teammate and he'd have scored, it'd have been a goal because accidental handball doesn't count unless you in that situation. If it'd been in his own box, it wouldn't have been a penalty. Accidental handball doesn't count in that situation, but it counts if you score. It's nonsense. How can one offence be an offence there, but not there? Yeah. Those are things that need to be sorted out by IFAB. Without going into the weeds of it, those are the things that need to be sorted out by IFAB.
Headline issues.
Not 5-second delays on
See, I haven't got a problem with that. I haven't got a problem with that, Ian. I haven't got a problem with that. I haven't got a problem with that law because the law is there. It's written.
It's a stupid law.
I haven't got a problem with that because
it's a stupid law.
You may think it's a stupid law, but at least the law is in place. It's what I've got an issue at the moment is grappling. I'm sick and tired of watching football at the moment with the amount of grappling that's going on at corner kicks. And for the PGMOL not to take ownership that they're destroying the image of the game. They're in danger if they're damaging the Premier League's what we've saw as the most beautiful game for years. And the only ones that can solve it, you're right, not IFAB. The rule's been in place for how long? As long as I know. But for some reason, the referees have got weak. If I see holding at a corner kick, and now I'm seeing defenders, and it's up to the referees to be strong. When a player's not looking at the ball at a corner and he's only playing the man, you give a penalty. What will happen is these set-piece coaches that have came in from everywhere for the last few years to find a way to score a goal and find every little loophole to make sure that your team score or defend corners would stop because they would then realise, you know what, a penalty is going to be awarded. And you know what you might see, Ian? You'll still see great goals because players will have space to head the ball and score goals.
I agree with that. I agree with everything you say about that. And I'll just add two things to it. First, and this is something that I checked with you a couple of weeks ago when I was writing something about this. The first thing is that it would help if referees were allowed to penalise players for what they do before the ball is kicked. At the moment, I checked this with you, you told me this, you can only call a foul once the ball is in the air from a corner.
In play, yeah.
So all kinds of nonsense goes on whilst waiting
for the ball to be played.
If that could be penalised by a penalty or a foul the other way, that would help. Second thing, you know who else has played a role in this? It's the media. The mainstream media have played a role in this. I remember 2 seasons ago, I think, when Arsenal were first being lauded for their set piece innovations, and we learnt the name of Nicholas Yeover, their set piece coach, and we learnt the name of Austin McPhee, the set piece coach at Aston Villa. Okay, and all of a sudden, I'm watching Match Today, and I'm reading things in newspapers and on websites with people I respect talking about the brilliance of what Arsenal at that time were doing at set pieces, and I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, but that's a foul. It might be clever, and it might come off the back of a lot of hard work on the training ground and a lot of intelligence and a lot of clever outside the box thinking, but it's also a foul. And no one was saying it. I said it because I remember I said it on the podcast I used to do with Sutton, and I got hammered for it, for being a killjoy and for being anti-Arsenal. But from what I was seeing, it's just a foul, however clever it is. It's obstruction.
Yeah, well,
it's a foul.
On that point, those 7 penalties have been awarded for holding this season. 7 penalties.
Blocking is a foul.
That's not enough.
After a VAR intervention, right?
Not enough.
With the Premier League's high bar on fouls, much of the holding is technically allowed. But one other thing, at the start of the season, a survey of coaches, captains, referees and pundits were overwhelmingly in favour of the current threshold for fouls.
Let's see if they are now.
Do you think it's changed? I think this season has changed. Did you watch Dan Burn v Haaland the other week?
Yeah.
I enjoyed a bit of that, but it isn't football.
But just another little tack that's come in. Talking about Dan Burn, which happened at Man City. Was it Rodri? I could be wrong if it was Rodri. What they're doing is just before the ball is about to be kicked,
pushes him.
The player into an offside position. I've been talking about this for years. It was a tactic but this is where it all stems from.
That's coached, isn't it?
What did I say
happened
before?
Twice that weekend. It also happened in the Chelsea versus Burnley game. It's the first time I'd noticed it.
But what did I say? You can't do anything in law the first time it happens.
The ball's not in the air.
But for me, right, this is where the referees, I've just said to you before, referees understand the laws of the game. Yeah. They'll punish it for offside because that's what it is. What you could do is stop. Even if the ball was kicked, you could blow the whistle.
You've got to spot it first. You've got to spot it first, Mark.
Ian, you know what's happening.
You see it.
The referees should know what's happening because there should be one step before. Top referees knew what the tactics were going to be. If you're watching, which you'll be watching, you're not watching the ball. Referees don't watch the ball, or they shouldn't be watching the ball. You're watching where the ball's going to land. If you see Dan Burn getting pushed and you know he's going to be an offside, you put it back in, you put it back for the free kick, and you say to Rodri, do it again, I'll give you a yellow card.
Just to make it clear.
It's clear.
Just to make it clear, the tactic you're talking about is that when players are lining up and jostling on the edge of a penalty area, waiting for a free kick, if I'm marking you and you're the attacker, all of a sudden, just before the kick comes in, I give you a shove and then you're offside.
Yeah. But you cannot give a foul
because the ball's not in play.
Because the law states the ball isn't in play.
Yeah.
But what you can do as a top referee, and what you can do is just as you know what's happened, just before the ball's being kicked, stop. You say to Rodri, do it again and I'll give you a yellow card. Which what happens? Stops. Because you're telling all his teammates and all of the opposition, it ain't going to happen anymore on my pitch.
So, Mark, what happens, though, if there's an off-the-ball incident not linked to a free kick, right? So if 2 players have a scuffle and one gets pushed in his arse, you can penalise that, surely. So what's the difference between pushing somebody offside, waiting for the ball to be in play, and somebody having an off-the-ball
So what you could
scuffle?
do, and this is where the hardest bit is, if it happens outside, and this is where really, if you want to be strong as a referee, but you'll never get support, is if it's outside, you could give the free kick. It's when it's inside the penalty area. Because the argument could be, you've got to work out when the ball's kicked, if the ball's in play when the push happens. If it can't, in law, like Ian says, if you could punish it, we could find a way in the law. But at the moment, the only way the referee can get around it would be to stop it stop the ball coming in because you know Dan Burns in an offside position. You can't give the goal, but at least you give Newcastle the chance to take the free kick again. But you're warning Rodri, if you do it again, my friend, or any one of your teammates do it as a tactic, I'm going to penalise it.
But he has been coached that, do you think? You know,
Of course,
Totally.
It's
Of course it's coached.
So more widely, I thought what you said before was really interesting. But you were very strong when you said the referees have allowed this to happen, that they're grappling at corners. Got to stop. The referees have got to get on top of it. So what's to stop? Tell me what's to stop this week, Howard Webb saying to the Premier League clubs, right, 10 o'clock Thursday morning, Zoom call, all the managers. I want you on a Zoom call. Zoom call, Howard Webb. Right, guys, just to let you know, we've let this go for so long now. You've pushed it to the nth degree. You're making the job too hard for us. You're making a mockery of the game. From this Saturday onwards, we're on to you. So just be aware that from this Saturday onwards, we are watching, and there will be cards, and there'll be lots of them. Why can't that just happen?
In my opinion, I always think it's difficult to change things during the season.
Well, that's what I'm sorry,
because
Mark.
the
But they
inconsistent.
have. That's what's happened, isn't it?
No, it's been going on from the very first whistle of the first day of the season. The referees have allowed it to develop, and it's getting worse because teams know they can get away with it.
That's just defeatist.
You're right. You can make an argument if the clubs, that's what the clubs want.
It's about what the clubs want. It's about the laws of the game. About the laws of the game.
Who runs the Premier League?
Huh?
Who runs the Premier
clubs.
League?
But they don't run the match once the match is underway.
No,
the
but
referee does.
Yeah, but the referees have allowed it all season, so they're being consistent. Gordon made a valid point. The clubs voted it in at the start of the season that they were happy with this high threshold. The problem is, I believe that this threshold has now gone even higher, and certain teams have exploited what they've agreed to. I agree with you to a point. I just think Howard Webb, at the end of the season or the start of next season, when he goes into these management meetings with all of the clubs, which is what the PGM World do at the start of every season, he's got to be strong and say, enough's enough. We are not going to allow this from the start of the season. But we've seen how many clampdowns over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the
year in, year out. And you know what? The clubs get upset.
One of the problems with any clampdown, as we know, is that the referees clamp down, they start issuing cards, the media start complaining about too many cards, the clubs start complaining, and then the referees lose their
How
nerve
much
and
of
row
this
back on it.
leniency
Happened to me.
How much of the leniency in the Premier League do you think is responsible for Arsenal's success and set pieces then? You know, they are top of the league based on an exploitation.
So let's be fair, let's be right on one thing. Let's be right on one thing. Not every set piece goal that Arsenal score is on the back of blocking and pushing and shoving. Some of them just very, very good goals. Okay, and let's also remember that a certain amount of blocking and barging and bumping at corners is inevitable.
It's a contact
because
sport.
you've got 15 people in a very small space competing for one ball. It's going to happen at Sunday League. Blah blah. So okay, but equally, if particularly blocking of opponents' runs, which to me is just obstruction. If the ball's not there, it's just obstruction. Can't do it in any other part of the pitch. Why could you do it for a corner? If me and you were playing football run, and there's a ball out there in that corridor, and you go to run for it, and I step across your path, it's a foul.
You're going through the fucking window. Sorry, yeah. But you're right, it's a foul.
It's about obstruction.
It's an obstruction.
Because the ball's not within my playing distance. Yeah. Okay, so that's the long-winded answer to your question. I would say some of them.
Some of them, yeah.
Some of them.
No, because I think we're not here to bash Arsenal.
No, we're not.
Well, they've all done it. If you watch Everton v Manchester United, it was like a rugby scrum inside the Premier League.
Did you hear Joe Hart's comments on it?
Yeah.
He said that's like 16 players in the 6-yard box having a scrap. That's
correct.
A mosh pit.
Yeah. But if you watched, I watched Arsenal set plays because I want to understand the game. And Arsenal do score some wonderful corner kicks. That routine they scored against Chelsea where James got caught with Gabriel was just fabulous to watch because James isn't even watching the ball. And he's actually defending Gabriel. And if Gabriel took him one way, took him the other, knowing the ball's going to the back post because that's what they've planned, it's headed across, Saliba puts it in. For me, that's the master of it, corner kicks. What I don't like, all I want is fairness. That both ends of the pitch are dealt with the same. We see teams, and I'm not highlighting Arsenal before the Arsenal bashers get onto us. I'm not saying Arsenal, I'm saying in general. If it's dealt with and we're allowing holding at one end, it's got to be consistent at the other. What I feel is there's some impeding done, and I'll hide Declan Rice for an example. How Declan Rice wasn't punished at the weekend is beyond all of my expertise as a referee, because that, if you put two arms around somebody's neck and then move your arm for the ball as a handball, that cannot be right.
Right, before we dive back into the football, we're in partnership with Wix Trade Pro. Tradespeople, you want to listen to this bit.
Absolutely, because being a Wix Trade Pro member saves you money.
You can save 10% every single time that you shop in store or online. There's no minimum spend, no hassle, just savings.
Brilliant stuff.
On top of that, if you've got a big job coming up, lads, and you need to buy a load of materials up front, with Wix Trade Pro, you can now buy now and pay later. Powered by Billy. Pay interest-free within 30 days or 60 days and track your payment status easily through your Trade Pro account.
That's not all. You can click and collect within 15 minutes. And for even trickier jobs, order online or in store for delivery within 3 hours.
Blimey.
To sign up and start saving, just download the Wix Trade Pro app today. Billy offers unregulated credit agreements, UK businesses only, 18 plus, subject to status, T's and C's, and late fees apply. Interestingly, to move that on slightly, is it affecting your enjoyment of watching football? Because Arne Slot's comments this week are pretty strong, aren't they? Most of the games I watch in the Premier League are not a joy to watch. I don't think in other leagues there is so much emphasis on set pieces. One of the reasons is I see goals being disallowed and fouls and goalkeepers being given. That's a big difference. Here you can almost hit a goalkeeper in the face and the referee says, just go on. My football heart doesn't like it. It's interesting, that, isn't it, Ian?
Yeah.
Is that because you're not doing very well?
Before we go into that, did we see the unique way on Tuesday night that Liverpool managed to not score from a corner? That was extraordinary. Bloke flicks on at the near post. Bloke at the back post, Curtis Jones, I think, was it? Or no, McAllister, someone. Doesn't matter. Is about to head the ball in. His own player, Cody Gakpo, decides to get involved, puts his foot up and deflects the ball away from the goal line, up where it looks as though Kirkes is going to head it in, and then hits the bar and bounces away. Yeah. Now, that is self-sabotage, Arne. I'm sorry, so maybe have a look at that. In terms of his comments, I think there's slightly two separate things at play. That Arsenal-Chelsea game was a poor game. It was quite boring.
It was dull, wasn't it?
To watch, I must admit.
I fell asleep watching that game.
I think at the moment, there's probably three things here. There's a set-piece things which we know about. Set pieces have always been part of football. Mm-hmm. You know, Manchester United won a Champions League final on the back of a set-piece goal in added time from a corner. Okay, it does happen. It's always happened. So the set-piece thing. And then there is the different way that teams are playing. We've talked about it before. There is more direct football. I've explained before how I know people on Thomas Tuchel's staff think that coaches have got so good now at stifling the opposition in possession that opposition, whoever you are, now going a bit longer to try and go over the top. And thirdly, and I think this is important, I think we've slightly moved out of a golden era. Okay, and it was a golden era.
It was, yeah.
When Liverpool and City, Klopp's Liverpool and Guardiola's City were going toe to toe, and that City team was De Bruyne and
Aguero
and David Silva and Phil Foden and Jack Grealish, and Liverpool was peak Salah and Mane, Firmino and others, okay, and Trent and a younger Andy Robertson, okay, and City aren't quite that now, okay. Liverpool certainly aren't that now. Chelsea are, who knows what Chelsea are. Tottenham are no longer Pochettino's Tottenham or even Ange's Tottenham.
Manchester United are starting to look quite
I was going to say
exciting.
to you, no, I was going to say that to you. Newcastle have stepped backwards. The only one at the moment, and they are, to be fair, when they're on the break, they are easy on the eye on Manchester United. And it's shown in their goals tally. They have taken that step forward. But I think from that golden era of champagne football and title races that used to go to the last day, just think at the moment we've got teams that are. I mean, I haven't even touched on Arsenal yet, but we've got teams that are in a different type of cycle, and I think that's affecting the quality of the football as well.
I think it's an interesting one. That if I look at what teams who have been promoted from the Championship over the years, and I always go back to the Southampton under Russell Martin, how he had a team who we all know that the Championship is more difficult and yes, it's still got the footballing, but the tactical side of it's completely different. And we saw a team get promoted and go down as quick as they got promoted because they tried to play out from the back and they weren't good enough to play out from the back. I think the teams that have come up have gone more direct and they've got more success out of it. And if I look at Sunderland, who have been probably the shining light of any promoted sides over the years, are a very physical team, very physical indeed, and they've gone up man to man now, player to player.
But are you enjoying watching the league?
If you're a Sunderland fan, 100%.
No, but
as a general, I think what we're seeing now, we're still seeing the brilliant games.
Yeah.
I thought Brentford, and I only saw the highlights, Burnley, Brentford, to see a team 3-0 away from home, 3-3, could have been 4. It was brilliant to watch.
I was at Leeds, Man City. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Yeah. I just think some games,
football was decent.
Yeah, that's.
And I'm not sure the big games.
Leeds is brilliant to go.
It'll be interesting, the Arsenal Man City Arsenal game. If the play to what's happened in some of the big games, they'll make it a scrap.
But it's happened.
What
in the
about you,
past,
Gordon? You enjoying it?
Well, I live in England most of the time, right? So for a long time, I've probably preferred watching English football just because the standard's better. For the first time in a long, long time, I've preferred watching Scottish football.
That's interesting.
Because the games, your 97th minute winners for Celtic, and listen, I'm a Hibs fan, but the drama and there's 4 teams that
But that's probably because you've been waiting for that a long time.
I have been waiting.
That's probably not necessarily reflective of what's happening down here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've been a little bit turned off by the English league. Yeah,
right.
I don't think
Why?
it's a
What
great
in particular?
spectacle to watch. So you mentioned the Chelsea game, Chelsea Leeds. Was it no? Man City Leeds. Brilliant atmosphere, Ellen Road. Fair enough, great. But I watched God, who was it the other night? It was Chelsea Arsenal, wasn't it? Fell asleep.
Yeah, it was.
Fell asleep.
It was
dull.
It was poor.
It was dull, and I think I don't know. Sunderland, I don't mind watching, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like Paul Scholes was talking about it this week. There's a team that's playing free flowing fancy football. And at the moment, Manchester United are starting to show those signs. Playing football the way I like to watch football being played. Exciting up front, good midfielders, creative midfielders, solid defenders.
I don't think they're there quite.
They're not there yet, but there are glimmers.
They can, especially when they break on teams.
Yeah,
they are easy
great
on
to watch.
When they. But look at the Newcastle Everton game. Yeah. Went to the last minute, that incredible save by Jordan.
What a save, by the way.
Oh, what a save.
And as a Sunderland ex-Sunderland player, it must have been nice for him, wouldn't it?
Liverpool beat West Ham 5-2. Okay, I think Liverpool scored 3 set-piece goals in that game. So I think there's still much to love.
Yeah, I agree.
I do.
I agree.
And just on my Leeds Man City experience, Mark, I want to ask you something. So I was there, obviously, when the Ramadan controversy took place. 50 minutes into the game, break in play, so the 3 Muslim city players can break their Ramadan fast. A minority of Leeds fans boo it, idiots. Obviously.
What a dumb thing.
I mean why you would do that, I do not know. But I will want to ask you one thing. So while that break was taking place, Leeds had started the game really well and could have been ahead. City were really struggling for 20 minutes of that game. So Guardiola, understandably, but in my mind, wrongly, was allowed to use that break for that Ramadan break as almost like a mini half time. All the players came to touchline, and it became a bit of a kind of coaching session or a tactical session.
And it was three minutes roughly, wasn't it? It was 3 minutes.
And I think that's wrong, and I think that at the World Cup, where we will see water breaks,
5 minute
America,
water breaks.
I think that's something that before the World Cup, I would like to see whoever it is, FIFA or whatever, get on top of and say, right, water breaks, fine, we need water breaks, you're going to be playing extreme temperatures. But during those water breaks, coach sits on his arse in the dugout and doesn't go anywhere near it. Let them have the water and get on with the game. Shouldn't be using refuelling breaks in football as a chance to reorganise your team. And Guardiola did it. Every other coach in the Premier League would have done it in that situation, but they shouldn't be allowed to.
Yeah, if we take what coaches have done in the past, coaches have been doing this for a long, long time, haven't they? They used to get an outfield player to go down injured, and teams even had coaches admitted that they used to send a player down injured after 70, 75 minutes. However, the Premier League adapted to that by saying
That's
that the
part
player
of the
has
new
to.
raft, isn't it? Yeah.
So the player had to leave the field to play for 30 seconds.
And it's now going to be a minute.
So the problem what coaches are then doing, they're finding alternative ways. Ian's way is one way, which there was a 3-minute break. But if you watched a game earlier in the season, it was Manchester United, Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
And after 5-10 minutes, something wasn't right in the tactical situation between what Eddie Howe was wanting his team to do.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did, he told Ramsdale
goalkeeper,
to go down injured. And it was so... I was listening to the commentator and I'm thinking, there's nothing wrong with Ramsdale here. Even... What made it even better was the reserve team, the goalkeeper who was on the substitute bench, decided to warm up to make it look even more real. And the commentator said, I'm not sure he'll be able to continue. And I'm scratching my head thinking, he'll continue because it was a clear tactic, because the players came to the touchline, took advices, went back and changed whatever.
So what would you have done in that situation?
You're powerless, because the power, what the Premier League need to do and IFAB need to do is when this happens with a goalkeeper, you send a player out for 30 seconds or 1 minute.
I think
the MLS is even high. I think is it the MLS is 3 minutes.
And these are, and we're talking about how much we love football, whether we still love the Premier League. Those are the little things that turn me off football. Yeah. Those are the little things.
But the coaches are doing
they're allowed to happen.
But if we can't always blame referees for everything.
No, we
can blame the referees for the set pieces. That is a fact. But there's certain things. You made a valid point about the 5-minute water. There's going to be a 5-minute cooling break in the World Cup, but not just one match or 20 matches, for the whole tournament.
Yeah.
We understand, and okay, the temperatures are going to be difficult in some places. But that 5 minutes, you can never ask the manager to sit down for 5 minutes.
Why not?
Yeah.
Because the players are going to come for what you're then going to do is, what they'll do, Ian, even if you get that happening, who's going to give the water bottles?
Well, there'll be about 25 technical staff on hand. There'll be enough people to give the water bottles out.
And what will they do? That messages will come from there. They'll find a way. They always do. I've got these little notes.
Mark.
Have you seen these little notes that come on from the substitutes? There's always ways. There's always ways.
Hold on, the substitutions must be completed in no more than 10 seconds. Otherwise, the substitute must stay off for at least 1 minute. IFAB also decided to enforce a period of at least 1 minute off the field for any player whose injury forces a stoppage in play.
I don't agree with that.
All these tweaks to
rules
are essentially being done to combat cheating.
Yeah. But Ian, what I find really frustrating about this is we all know that there's certain elements coached in.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't like, a player has to go off when he's had a foul, maybe not a yellow card, but you can clearly see it's a foul. He's been caught. A player's not, when they've been caught in a challenge, you know as a referee, you go, probably not on the verge of a yellow card, but you know he's been caught. It might be accidental, knee on knee. You know it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
What you're going to say is, you've got to go off for a minute. You're down to 10 players for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it doesn't feel right. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to combat the coaching element of football, I'm not saying it's cheating at the minute. I'll say it's coached into them. If you want to say it's cheating, that's up to you, because I've said enough over the last few
if you're
weeks.
telling a goalkeeper to go down and pretend he's injured so that you can get some tactical instructions onto field, that's cheating.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep. Well, there we go. So, in short, is the game good this season? Been a stellar season for you, Ian?
It's not a stellar season. I'm enjoying watching the Premier League.
You're enjoying it. Mark?
As a Newcastle fan, I'm hating it. And because the arch enemy are doing well, it hurts even more. But you know what?
Derby coming up.
Exactly.
Derby coming up.
But I'm just thinking,
22nd of March.
I just think that the game has been damaged by everybody. The players, the coaches and the referees. And they need to have a hard, long look at themselves if they want to keep this beautiful game
Get them
going.
round the table, Howard. Get them on a Zoom call. Come on. Can't be that difficult.
Was that a job application you just heard from Mark Clattenburg?
Absolutely no chance.
He's enjoying the Gladiators money.
3, 2, 1.
That is it for the latest episode of Whistleblowers. We're back on Tuesday. Make sure you follow us on socials. You'll find us by typing in Whistleblowers on your favourite social platform. Also, email us, please, whistleblowers@dailymail.com. We'd love your questions for the bonus ball every Tuesday. Right, Mark, can you blow the full-time whistle, please? Thank you very much for watching Whistleblowers. Remember, there are new episodes every Thursday and Tuesday, so don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for even more content. And follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode.